right, welcome in. Happy Friday. Friday is fun day here as the NBA tip-off show. We've got our eyes centered on another elimination game here tonight. The Knicks on the road taking on the Indiana Pacers. Can the Pacers stretch this thing out to a seventh game back at the Garden in a couple of days? A Sunday game 7, that would be an awful lot of fun. Or will the Knicks rise to the occasion here and just end this thing and head to Boston? So a lot to be determined here tonight, and nobody better here to try to navigate your way in this game here tonight than the prop god Andy Lang in the house here today, ready to go here. We'll throw a same game parlay your way. We'll talk about some of these props coming up tonight, figure out if there is a way or an angle here, either side, total, halves. You guys know how we roll. We'll figure out some way in order to make this a profitable evening. And good news is we got another Game 7 coming up. We've got another Game 6 tomorrow. So the weekend is going to be loaded with NBA action here, Andy. Quite actually the weekend here. We've got golfers being arrested. Lord knows what MLB is going to deliver us this weekend here. But we've got Game 7s. We've got NHL elimination games coming up. So it is a hell of a weekend here, my man. And it's going to start tonight with the Pacers and the Knicks, two teams. And listen, the Pacers are in your backyard. So what is the vibe here? At some point, they're going to have to win a game on the road if they're going to advance, right? But this is a different team at home, Andy, is it not? And everyone seems to know it, including them.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, these insane home road. I mean, we use the term splits. It's not even a split. It's a different team. They forget how to rebound. They forget how to pass. Halliburton just doesn't even want to shoot. And so it's just really, really hard because you're looking at trends across the last 4 games. And you're like, what am I supposed to make of this? What team is going to show up? And yeah, it's one of the more crazy home road series that I've kind of followed. But if you believe in the home court advantage and the Pacers playing well, then you got to take them. You just have to. So that's kind of where I would be looking at tonight. I thought Ross Benjamin did a great job on WagerTalk today, breaking down the Pacers team total over 110.5 because they're at home. And listen, the team total 110.5, they're going to beat it by 10 or lose it by 10. Like, it's probably not going to just barely get to 110. You know, it's just the Pacers are either going to be lights out shooting or they're going to get blown off the court. I tend to think that this goes to Game 7. So I think the Pacers win. I think they play really, really well. And if you're playing the side, it's got to be the Pacers.
I'm with you. And it was funny, Andy, because earlier today I saw the line move to down to 5. It was 6.5 even a day or so ago, because I know a lot of guys that were jumping in Knicks plus 6.5, and then all of a sudden it's gone nothing but Knicks way, and it feels like we've got a very public dog in our hands here tonight with the New York Knicks here, because I'm seeing percentage of tickets, percentage of money, all on the New York Knicks here. However, once this thing bottomed out at 5, it looks like we're starting to get 5.5s in the market now again. So here comes the money on the Pacers once again, pushing it up. But it certainly feels like the public thinks, well, they certainly did. 6.5, 6, 5.5 was a little much, but it looks like the buyback with the Pacers is on his way. And I think you nailed it, right? If the Pacers are going to win this game, it's probably not going to be 101-99. Just throwing it out there. No. The Pacers win this game, it's going to be 121-87, and we're going to a game. And I don't even think the question is whether or not the Pacers can win this game or even cover this game, because, yes, I think if they win, they cover for sure. The question is, what the hell are they going to do in a Game 7 anyway, Andy? I mean, at some point, they've got to win on the road. Otherwise, all of this is just an exercise for Boston anyway. And I hate them. I still think the Pacers are going to give Boston a better run for their money than the depleted Knicks are. Are you on that same page?
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to compete with Boston, the Pacers just have waves of players that they can throw at them. I do agree. A depleted New York Knicks team, they would need Boston to absolutely melt in several games, because if Boston plays as good as they can, which is always it's always a tough ask. Just ask any Boston fan. You ask me what happens if it goes to Game 7. Well, the Pacers will do what they do, is they just won't show up. No matter, like, if they win tonight, save the money on the flight and just don't show up. We know what's going to happen. Listen, you're looking to build a bankroll. You're praying for a Pacers win tonight, because then you just hammer the Knicks in Game 7. Just hammer. You'll get passive Tyrese Halliburton. You'll get the rotation that doesn't make any sense sometimes. Then you'll get Nembhard trying to guard Brunson one-on-one, because that works at MSG. So, yeah, if you're better, you're praying for a win tonight, just because of all the opportunities that would present itself from fading my Pacers. Can I say this? I get that the Pacers look weird in this play. They look great, and then they look bad. Deservedly so. They get some criticism. This team has overachieved. You know what their win total was for this year? 38.5. This is a good season for the Pacers. That was, by the way, my favorite future. Actually, my second favorite was the Knicks over their win total. We cashed both of those. But this is a good season for the Pacers. They overachieved. They're still building the team. They got Pascal Siakam late. It's been bumpy in the postseason, but this has been a success. All my Pacers fans, this is kind of playing with house money here a little bit. I think this is a really, really positive step in the right direction for them. Valuable experience in the playoffs. You can't speak enough about being able to get these minutes and get these young guys, just kind of experience, as clunky as they look sometimes. So I would just say, yeah, the Pacers, while they don't look good sometimes, this has been a good season for them.
Shout out to the chat rooms here today. The host of Las Vegas hanging out, doing a little day drinking on Instagram. Always a pleasure to see you, JoJo. Joe's in the house over there. M. Davis 6300 in the house on Instagram. Shout out to Chris Ostro in YouTube Shorts there, who is scratching his head saying, listen, I thought Minnesota had a chance last night, but good Christ, what was that? That was that's what they call a giant ass whooping, Chris, is what that was. And it also, to me, looked like we threw the white flag in at half with Denver, and good old, it all looked like they were like, you know what? Game 7's happening at this point. There is absolutely no need to exert any more energy than needed there last night. Kind of feels like Indiana did that too in that Game 5 drubbing of a 30-point blowout there by the Knicks there. It kind of felt like the Pacers punted and said, all right, yeah, we're good. We'll just have to win one more at our house and come back here. Shout out to Kelsey today, finally showing up on time here, liking the shirt. You're welcome. Thank you very much, Kelsey. I wore it for you because I knew you'd be here, as always. And Titan CT in the house. Have is here. And no more Obi topping over on points. It is now John Divide It, Don't Hide It, Finley in the house. You missed it yesterday, Andy. John, there was a big discussion in the chat room about what Chardonnay goes best with Ambien. And it looks like John is going to divide it now and not hide it, Finley, in the chat room. So this is going to go hard left on a Friday there. Isaac Smith in the house. Eric D is here. Yes, they get progressively crazier as the week goes on, I've noticed, Andy, here in the chat room. Have you noticed that as well?
Absolutely. Starts off slow on Monday. It kind of picks up pace. Thursday, you can see the weekend in sight. And then Friday, it's just throw caution to the wind.
Yes. Saturday, we're going to Total Wine and looking for what Chardonnay goes best with my Ambien tonight. So there we go. We've got a lot here going on. We've got plenty happening in the chat room, as you can see. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, that like button. We'd certainly appreciate it. And those of you joining us on IG there with your beverage in hand, don't forget to follow us there. We certainly appreciate it. And let's dive into some of these props that we've got in this game coming up, Andy, because I got to tell you, the Knicks, they were good in that last game at home, but what's amazing to me is that the pace is not slowing down here in any way, shape, or form. The possessions, the pace, the opportunities are there. What happened in that game 5, which I don't think is going to happen here, is that I don't think the Pacers are going to get out rebounded 53-29 in the game. I don't think that's going to happen because the Knicks weren't just grabbing the rebounds and then, trying to draw the clock out. The Knicks had no problem running with the Pacers because the Pacers run, miss, Knicks would get the rebound, and they'd go in transition as well. So I do favor a lot of the over props here tonight because I don't think possessions or pace is going to be a problem for guys. But that was a huge difference on the boards for the Knicks. Are you looking to take advantage of any of those types of props in this game on either side?
Take the over on Nembhard missed box outs. If that the next time that guy boxes anybody out, will be the first. Hartenstein. Listen, 17 rebounds. That was great performance, but he didn't exactly have to hustle. A lot of them just kind of came right to him, and there was no Pacers even trying. So you said 53-29. That'll never happen. That will never happen tonight. You're right. Could be like 55-27. It could get worse. So yeah, let's take a look at some props here. I really like Alec Burks' props. We'll talk about him in a same game parlay, but they've really discovered something with him, and I have to ask, like, really, you had to. It got so bad for the Knicks that they were forced to put in Alec Burks, and it turns out he's okay. He's fine. Put him in for 20, 25 minutes. Why weren't they using this guy before? He's serviceable. I don't understand the lack of minutes that he's gotten. But the books have already moved this total from 10.5 points up to 11.5 points. I think you can look at over 1.5 3-pointers. Somebody from the chat on WagerTalk today pointed that out. He's going to get minutes. The last 3 games, his minutes are solidified. He's shooting 50% from 3-pointers, and he's earned the trust. That's huge. When you got these bench guys, you give them a chance. If they reward the coaching staff and the players with a good performance, they're going to get minutes. So I think he's a really good play tonight. And listen, if you believe that the Pacers are going to win this game, then you have to, as much as it may pain you to do it, you have to look at Tyrese Halliburton over his points, because they're just not going to win. They're not going to win these games without him going ballistic. So it's 21.5. I think if you believe in that, you also have. Now, I will say the 3.5 3-pointers is pretty crazy. Him to get to 4 3-pointers. That being said, he has done it 3 out of the last 4 games. But I would start looking at his points in this one. If you have a sports book that has Ben Shepherd props, I have been cashing on his points, rebounds, and assists, but they've been tough to find. If you can find 7.5, take the 7.5. If it's 8.5, lay off. But Ben Shepherd's been pretty good coming off the bench, grabbing those. And then TJ McConnell at home seems to be pretty good. His point total is 18.5. He smoked this in 3 out of the last 4 games, 8 out of the last 10 games. He's been really good, and when he's on, he's been a real terror to the Knicks. So I would look at those. I do not know what to expect from Jalen Brunson in this one. His point total just is so high that everything would have to go right. Could he drop another 40-point game? Of course he could, but don't forget, his last 44-point game, 3 games before, 29, 26, and 18, so nowhere close. So those are some points, some props I'd look at. Same game parlay. This one is plus 156 on DraftKings. I'm going to start with over 109.5 on the Pacers team total. If you think they're going to win, I think they get over this one. And I'm going to play with Alec Burks to hit 1 3-pointer and Josh Hart to hit at least 1 3-pointer. So those are some alt lines. Those guys are good for 1 in pretty much every game. They're getting the attempts. They'll certainly, if the pace is up, they're certainly going to get the attempts tonight. So plus 156, Pacers over 109.5. Alec Burks to hit 1+ 3-pointer and Josh Hart to hit 1+ 3-pointer.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Brunson. Let's see, his points and assists is 40.5 here. I wouldn't look at any
so
rebounds,
high.
But man, that is ridiculous here. But he had 35 shots in game 5. He took Every time he touched the ball, he chucked it up. So he was, I mean, that's an absurd number, Andy, there with him. So do we get enough points where, does he become a facilitator in this one is what's going to be interesting here. If the shots aren't falling, Andy, right? Is he concentrating more on becoming a facilitator? Maybe a Brunson over on just the assists might not be a bad look, but my goodness. I mean, this is the kind of number we would have seen when he was playing the Sixers. Sorry, Dan. But this was the kind of, you know what I mean? This kind of number like he was taking on the Sixers and just torching them for all it was worth here. But that's a lot of points and assists for a game that their team total, Andy, in this, just so to give guys perspective here, I'm seeing their team total about 105 and a half. Does that sound about right with the Knicks? Unless it's 105 and a half. How many is he going to have?
That sounds right. I mean, I don't know. My struggle with his assist is like, well, who's he setting up? I mean, DiVincenzo is kind of the heat check guy for that team, so maybe. Right. But I mean, like that's a ton. That's a ton of assists to try and get. So I don't know. I think he takes a ton of shots tonight. Why? Who else are you going to like? Hartenstein's going to get 20 shots? No way. So like Good Precious? Point. No way. So I mean, the suspects are kind of limited on this one. So I would stay away from it. I just haven't had a great read on Brunson, but the number is really high.
Lee has got a good point here. He says, let's just take Brunson under assists. You can parlay the under 8.5 or take his line under 6.5. Historically, he hasn't hit over 6 assists until the last game there. I would imagine they're basing the 40 number there on him dropping 35, 36, having another monster game, which, let's be honest, he's going to have if the Knicks are closing this game out. But they did get, Andy, if I'm not mistaken, they did get an extra day's rest. They got an extra day here, right? Because Caitlin Clark was getting bricked last night and missing foul shots. And, that 9 points only comes around once. I'm just saying the 9 points were phenomenal last night. But quite honestly, we didn't have to delay this game in order to witness it. I'm kidding. No, honestly, she's going to come back and talk in a week. I think she's going to be fine. There's a little bit of an adjustment period here.
She had a class schedule as of 2 months ago. Like, let's ease up here a little bit.
It's like
she's a few years away from having a locker combination at school. So I'm not gonna,
exactly.
I'm not going to get on her too bad for a couple bad games on the worst team in the WNBA. But your point is well taken.
So the good news is, thank goodness for Caitlin, because if the Knicks win this game, I promise you they'll be toasting her for giving an extra day of rest, because they're going to need it. We know Anunoby's out. I find it fascinating they keep posting him as, he's not going to go this one. He's not going anyone. That hamstring is not getting better anytime soon. Just eliminate the idea that Anunoby is coming back ever in this season here. But you're going to need Brunson to have a big night here. Question in the chat, Andy, regarding Hartenstein and his rebounds here tonight. 10.5 is what I thought the number was. He was a big part. Actually, just the Knicks rebounding in general were huge in that last game, in that blowout here. They're going to need him to be big in this one again. Can't give him second chance points, but something tells me that they are going to be flying here tonight, these Pacers, to try and get as many of those rebounds as possible. You like Hartenstein over 10.5 here tonight?
No, I can't get there. Listen,
too many, right?
He had 8 and 5 at Indiana in the 2 games. So I know how monstrous he was in the last game, but it just, like, when the Pacers are shooting better at home, there's just not a lot of rebounding opportunities. And if the Pacers push the pace, Hartenstein almost becomes a little bit of a liability on defense. So I can't get there at Hartenstein. 17, just don't let recency bias get the better of you on that one.
Yeah, no, that's a big number. But we mentioned this during the week. As a matter of fact, last Friday, Andy, right? I was on the show with Teddy Covers and RC Ronald Kabang. And, I said, listen, don't sleep on good old Alec Burks here. He's going to get more minutes here. He's going to have to bomb away, and he's been absolutely money since he's actually gotten those minutes here. And it looks like a lot of people are scared off tonight, going, it just seems too easy for Burks here tonight. What's his number? 9.5? Is that what we're seeing here? It feels like
points is already easy. Points is already up to 11.5. They moved it up to 11.5. So it's definitely kind of cat's out of the bag on that one. The 1.5 3-pointers made is still available. He's 9 of 18. His last 18 3-point shots. So that's a way you could go after him, or you just do the points, rebounds, and assists as well. So
what about, and I know you're a guy that loves role players here, and I haven't seen anybody bring up Aaron Naismith, because I think his point prop was 9.5. Now, he didn't get a ton of minutes last game simply because, he got blown out. But he is the main defender, I believe, on Brunson here. So I know he had great success during the regular season. I think he dropped averaging 18 points a game against these Knicks when he played them during the regular season. 2 of 5, I think, of his playoff games have gone over 9.5 points. It feels like if he's going to get 30, 35 minutes in this game, he's a role player I would absolutely look at for Indiana.
Yeah, the problem with Naismith is they're going to have to use him on Brunson, so he uses his energy on defense. And you can get in foul trouble trying to guard Jalen Brunson the whole game. And it's resulted in 4 straight unders for him. It's 10.5 points for him. He's had 8, 8, 10, and 6 the last 4 games. So, there's too many question marks with Naismith. Like I said, I like McConnell and I like Shepherd for theirs. Ben Shepherd over 3-pointers at home is pretty good. So those are the role players I would focus on.
Lord, I don't even want to pronounce that last name, Lord, so I'll just call you Big L from here on out for the rest of the show. But Lord Big L in the chat room says, and this is a good point, Andy loves backing role players in elimination games for home teams. Something that you look at during the playoffs as well as you've throughout so far that you've done. You love those role players, especially if they're home, no?
Yeah, they're much better at home than they are in elimination games. So, I mean, Burks is the only role player the Knicks use. They're like 6 guys. Like Indiana's at least got 4 role players. I mean, the Knicks have a role player, singular. So, I'm all for it. I'm all for role players.
That's their role player. Is the only guy that you. That's the only one to have.
It's because you roll him onto the court and then roll him off real quick.
Yes, exactly. By the way, Kelsey said all Kelsey heard was role playing, and now that conversation has gone off in a totally different direction. So, Kelsey, I know it's Friday, but no, we're talking about the NBA. It's the NBA we're talking about. Role players there. Burks over points. How about Obi Toppin? I know he had a rough sledding there early. He was cash money for the first couple there, Andy. But is he worth taking a look back at here tonight, in your opinion?
Yeah, he's been a frustrating, inconsistent guy, and that's that's kind of what you get from guys like Obi Toppin. Is just you don't get it, night in and night out. Really good couple of games to start the series and a 6 point, 6 points, rebounds, and assist game. I have nothing on Obi Toppin. I know somebody pointed out that he went under his point total last game, but he made a 3-pointer that would have gotten him over, but they called it like a screen on the other side or something. There was kind of a weird foul that took away a made 3-pointer that he could have gone over. So I don't know. Yes. I won't be betting on Obi Toppin though.
No, listen, I can't. There's no part of me that wants to sweat out backing Obi Toppin props and Alec Burks props. Yeah. It's just there's only so much Chardonnay a man can drink here, I think, Kelsey, right? Am I right? In a game, my goodness here. Unbelievable there. Also, Chris points out the ref in the game here tonight is the same ref that was in that first kicked ball game, I believe, for the Knicks, right? The Pacers game where It is exactly the same ref. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the 2-minute report, they all admitted they screwed that up, right? They actually came out and admitted. So will there be a makeup call? There's a good question for the chat room. What are we thinking here, guys? Will there be a situation where, hey, don't worry about it. Sorry, Indiana, we know we screwed you, but we're going to go ahead and make this up to you here tonight, as I just want to make sure it's Dolby, Guthrie, and Zarba tonight are is your ref crew for those that follow that. Yeah, that would, I hate to break it, but if the Indiana Pacers had their way tonight, Andy, they want nothing to do with a friendly ref. They would rather be up 20 points and could very well be up 20 because what if, Andy, it's a double-digit lead or, they're up 12, 13, 14 points here? You got to think the Knicks are like, where do they draw the line in the sand where the Knicks are like, all right, we'll play for Game 7. We saw Denver do it last night. We saw Denver just go, we're good. We're good here. And you kind of feel with the home team winning every game in this series, that's the other thing we might have to guard against.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the referee. I mean, let me point this out. The referees are in such a no-win situation. So if they miss some calls and it goes in the Pacers' favor, they're going to be like, well, there's hometown cooking. But if they make some calls that go against Knicks, well, they won a Game 7. So no matter what happens, there's a conspiracy.
You're screwed.
Like so these poor guys, no matter what happens, they are just in a no-win situation. So I wouldn't worry too much about the rest. There's really not much you can do. I mean, does anyone remember that when they talk about the kickball and the illegal screen? Doesn't everybody remember when they called Jalen Brunson for a foul where he went crashing into Miles Turner and then they reviewed it, overturned it? That was the worst. That's correct. Like you can make a mistake in the moment, but to review that one and then say,
and still get it wrong.
No,
and then say
minimal contact. Miles Turner's like holding his ribs, like you're like minimal contact. So no, I don't worry about the refs too. I don't worry about the refs too much.
No, we do seem to have a lot of. It looks like over full game over 215, 215 and a half seems to be a consensus here. I'll tell you, last night we really liked that first half under in the game. In that one there, sorry, Kevin. Kevin's like, please no first half plays. But, if it ain't broke, we don't fix it here, Kev. Under last night, 105 and a half. I just didn't think the Denver Nuggets would be the one scoring 40 points. But thank you to them for that. And in the last 3 home games here, in fact, all season long, 63 points is what the Indiana Pacers averaged at home, Andy, in the first half. They have absolutely dominated in the first half in this series at home here. They're number 56 and a half in the first half. Why would I not think they're capable of another 60-point effort here tonight? The Knicks aren't all of a sudden going to turn up the heat defensively. They're going to come out running. They're going to come out gunning. They're not going to slow down here. So I'm expecting another 60-point performance in the first half by Indiana. And then the only question is, the Knicks team total is 53 and a half. Does this thing fly over in the first half? How much offense are we expecting early in this game, Andy?
Well, if it's up to the Pacers, they want a lot. I mean, the Pacers, like it feels like they give up on defense sometimes just to get out and run. And which is, you do have to at least try on defense a little bit. So, it's at home. First half over. Crowd's going to be amped. The players are going to be amped. That's when the Knicks are going to have the most energy. So, if there's a play in the first half, it's certainly the over.
Russell coming in saying, Chardonnay and Ambien yesterday, Kink today. It's a hell of a show. You're absolutely correct. But don't confuse it. That is the chat room. Don't bring us into their shenanigans, all right? Do not paint us with that brush, all right? Also, he brings up a good point here. Andy, today, Russell saying Halliburton leading scorer plus 1,100, 11-1 for Halliburton being the leading scorer here tonight. We haven't talked much about him. This feels like the kind of game he's going to need to rise to the occasion. It's at home, which we know he's got a pretty good track record written. That may not be bad at 11-1.
11-1. Yeah, it's pretty juicy. You would be banking on a Pacers blowout where Brunson's terrible and then sits, in the fourth. But yeah, I could see there. Listen, I'm not mad at the price. I'm not going to get on you for playing an 11-1. But yeah, Brunson, I'm guessing, is the clear favorite. I mean, just look at the points totals the books have out. Like Halliburton's like 21.5, Brunson's like 34.5. So that kind of tells you all you need to know. I mean, shot attempts, it's going to be Brunson all day long. So he would have to have a pretty horrific shooting night, which could happen on the road. It could happen. So,
yeah, if you think the Knicks can score enough here, and 105.5 is their team total for the full game, I don't see how this game doesn't go over either. And it opened at 217, Andy, and the initial push was to the under. And now we're starting to see, again, a little bit of a pushback on the total here a little bit. I don't think the Pacers give a crap that it's an elimination game. Are you worried about experience with that? Like, I think they only know how to play one gear, one way. I don't see there being, Carlisle's a pretty damn good coach here. The fact, like you said, their win total was 38.5 this year. We all cashed tickets on it. And we cashed it rather early here. I don't think at this point they give a crap whether they're going to play their game in their building in which they haven't lost in quite a while. So I don't think experience matters to them much. Are you on that page?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the Knicks are that experienced. I mean, it's not like these guys are, making the Eastern Conference Championship. The Pacers look their worst on the road, so they're at home. So I would say their confidence is probably pretty high, and they're playing with house money at this point. So, yeah, no, that doesn't worry me too much.
We have also, don't forget, we got a pretty interesting game coming up. We got two interesting games, maybe a third one coming in the NBA over the weekend, Andy. And a lot of guys on the show this week all pointed to that Game 5 on the road for OKC, and a lot of people thought, if Dallas wins on the road, Game 5 goes up 3-2, they go back home, it's probably over for OKC here. I always thought this thing was going 7. To me, this has got zigzag written all over it. But certainly Dallas finds themselves in the driver's seat here. And tomorrow, all I have seen is nothing but Dallas money coming in, except it's down to 3.5. It was up as far as 4. I'm seeing 3.5s. And the total keeps crashing here, which is fascinating to me also. What were you thinking about this series going in here? Did you too think it was going to be a 7-gamer one way or the other?
I like the Thunder in it a lot, but outside of SGA, the Thunder have just not gotten production from many other guys. Their shooting was awful the other night from 3-pointers. And I mean, SGA can only do so much. I mean, he saved them in the one game. I mean, it was all him. These guys just haven't really done much. Chet is, hit or miss. Jalen Williams has really been a disappointment. And the lack of size inside is really kind of rearing its ugly head. So, giving up one alley-oop is one thing, but giving up just alley-oop after alley-oop after alley-oop. So the Lively and Gafford combo has done well for him. But listen, it's the NBA. It comes down to who is hot from 3-pointers. Like, that's kind of one of the weird things about in the playoffs. Like, Oklahoma, you could easily just be the hot team from 3-pointers. So, I don't think I have a strong opinion on the side or total in this one. But yeah, you would lean Dallas, but sometimes when everybody thinks one thing's going to happen, that's when the books clean up. So I would, the contrarian gods would be over the Thunder all day in this one. So
without a doubt. But I will say this, for the majority of this series, Dallas has been the better team. And if it weren't for them shooting 52% from the foul line inexcusably, what in the hell is that? Where this series is over. So they're going to have to see. That's a team in which I was worried about experience with OKC and what would happen, because they've never really been. When has their back been against the wall here? Certainly not with New Orleans. So. This is going to be an interesting game here tomorrow. And then the Game 7, we finally got it. Andy, do you see on Sunday what this total is? 197 and a half. 197 and a half, people. Are you kidding me? 190. So
Wow.
we finally got a total under 200 in the playoffs. I don't think we have seen that. And where's Ralph Michaels and his pen, damn it, when you need him? I would imagine we have not seen an under 200 in the playoffs in quite some time here. That is a fascinating number to me. In Denver.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, in this series, it's just like one team's just been terrible on offense in a game. So, yeah, I get it. I think so. Some of the alt lines might be interesting. There's been so many blowouts. Like, if you think a team's going to win, just take them to win by 20. Why not? Like, it feels like that's just been this kind of series. So, just like, I mean, you would like to think these games would be close, but they just really haven't been. So, and then, I guess game 7, the other team's not going to throw in the towel. Like, Denver knew the game was over real early. So it's like, let's just save our energy and move on. But yeah, alt lines might be interesting. You probably get some really nice odds on that.
I'm thinking big time. I'm with you there, Andy. I mean, the alt market might not be a bad look depending on who you think is going to win that game. Because if I'm not, what's the closest game been in that series, Andy? Has any of them?
Man, let me look. Let me pull it up here real quick.
Chat room, what has been the closest game in that Denver and Minnesota series? Every one of them seems like it's been pretty
115, 107. Yeah, 115 to 107. That was the game.
8.
The game 3. Yeah, or game 4, I believe. So, but yeah, the rest of them, I mean, 45. There's 15. There's 27. 26.
Why in the world would I not look in the alt market? That what makes us think this is going to be up? Whoever's got the ball, final possession kind of game. Oh, hell no. That game's probably going to be over with 5 minutes to go in the game. You got to be kidding me. Either which way you're going, the alt market may not be a bad look there, Andy. I think that's a great call there. Big time, in fact. And Lee's pointing out, by the way, Kyrie hasn't unleashed himself yet. But here's the crazy thing, Lee. They haven't needed him to. That's right, Andy? I mean, that's the thing. Like, they have outplayed. They've been more physical. I think the size of OKC, even Kelsey in between sips of the Chardonnay there, it pointed that out earlier that, yes, OKC's got a bit of a issue on that team. They're not as big. They're not as physical. And Dallas is kind of having their way here. But my goodness, you're doing all this without Kyrie. Kyrie scoring 9 points. Like, okay, and stop telling me about how hurt Luka is. So what? It hasn't mattered yet, Andy. It certainly hasn't mattered yet. And kudos to you. We wanted to shout out to you because a couple of days ago we talked. I know you were on WagerTalk today. You came out with the Luka over 9.5 boards. Not once, but twice this week, I think, in Dallas, OKC, where you have backed him when everyone was talking about how hurt he was. You were talking about how the ball finds him and he's going to get double digits in rebounds. Are you going to make that a 3 for 3, do you think, this weekend here? You buying it again?
No, they moved it. They moved it up to 10.5. That was my caveat. I said, as long as it stays at 9.5, let's play it. If they move it up to 10.5, I get a little nervous there. It's not
that's a problem.
It's a big, it's a big number. But if OKC shoots like they did the other night, he could have 20 rebounds. But if they're shooting the ball well, then less rebound opportunity. So yeah, once I'm playing a prop and the books make a move, I jump off of it. So that's kind of where the value ends for me.
And they were back-to-back 9.5s, right? So I mean, you were on them. Nobody thought he was going to be banging around getting anything, but my goodness, it's a good call by you there with Luka, and in a closeout spot, going to be a hell of a game coming up tomorrow there. We are seeing alternate markets being thrown around now in the chat room, Andy. Indiana by John Dodd, divided, don't hide it, Finley, 10.5, over 215.5, plus 435. So we are going SGPs here, minus 10.5, over 215.5 plus 435. I don't hate that either, Andy. If we're being honest here, I could very well see a double-digit win by Indy in this one.
Yeah. If they're going to win, my guess is it's probably by margin. So, not sure if And the interesting thing for Tibbs is, he doesn't like pulling his players, but if the Pacers are up big in the third, you gotta wonder if it's like gotta get them off the court to get ready for the short turnaround for Game 7. So that would really, really help. Because the nightmare scenario for the Knicks is if they lose a close one and they play all their guys a ton of minutes. now they're gassed and tired. So that would be the worry there. But I kind of like the alt total on these games have been blowouts. Like if you only need to cash a couple of them in a series, So
I love the alt market look, especially, let's face it, the market is telling you guys 5.5. It was 6. They're already telling you there's a pretty good chance at home. We're talking they're 5-0 in the playoffs already this year at home, Indiana. I think, Andy, if you go back at the end of the regular season, they win at home, and they usually win by margin. So I don't know why we're expecting all of a sudden the Knicks to flip this switch and all of a sudden Indiana to be something different. Thought this series might be going 7. I still think it's going to go 7. And there's no way to me it's going to be one of these final bucket kind of games where, Indiana wins by 2. Oh, hell no. Neither of these teams play. Again, another one of these series where we've seen nothing like that here. And I do think there's going to be an opportunity in the alt market here tonight for those of you like John is doing here with the minus 10.5 over 215.5. Are you correlating the idea Knicks and under 2? I guess that would make the most sense in this game here tonight. If you think the Knicks are going to win, maybe fade some of the Pacer guys under their props as well, Andy?
Yeah, if the Knicks win, you got to believe the Pacers just fall flat and get nothing going on offense. And, and I don't think the Knicks win a 125-120 game. They win a 110-96, type of game. So, if the Pacers are win, it's over. If the Knicks win, probably under.
Shout out to Shay Montana. Oh, hell no, Shay. You know exactly what we're talking about. There in the chat room there. How about McBride? Some questions about, let's face it, he's been straight up here, but are we actually trusting McBride to set enough ball screens for Brunson to get things open for him? Because he is a better scoring threat than what Achua is, although it was brought to our attention earlier in the chat room, and I want to give credit to the person who brought it up, which I thought it was Lee. He has been as consistent as it is. We were laughing at him as a role player, but Precious Achua has pretty much dominated his numbers, I believe, Andy, for a while now, even dating back to his time with the Toronto Raptors. So we were laughing about he's the only role player they have left, but should we be looking his way here? Precious Achua, role player, 5 boards, 9. He's had at least 5 boards in 19 of 20 games where he's played over 20 minutes. So he is a guy that if he is going to be out on that court, maybe the rebounding prop is not a bad way to look for him.
Yeah, I'm not trusting this.
Is he going to be out is enough? That's the question. Are you going to have him out on the court if you're the Knicks? Because Mitchell's not there. If something happens to Hartenstein, what choice do you have?
Well, yeah, that's true. So I don't know what they're going to do with Miles McBride. I mean, if it's Tom Thibodeau, he doesn't want to put him out there. He was good. He was pretty good. When they gave him more minutes. So I guess if you subscribe to the notion of like, they trust him, then go for it. But I don't know. I'll stay away from it.
Trust is a necessity, though. Like there's a difference between trust and I don't have anybody else on the bench. What the hell are we supposed to do at this particular point? And there's no reinforcements coming, which guys, really, if we're looking ahead, the Celtics just have to be laughing right now and looking at these dudes. The Celtics are going to sit back and watch and be like, oh, you guys are going to have a game 7. That's great. Knock yourselves out. It'd be great. We'll be ready to eliminate you. We'll lose game 2 and make you feel like you have a shot here. And then we're going to sweep your ass out in 5 and get ready for the West. So altogether, it should be a very interesting Eastern Conference Finals with either of these two teams here. A couple of final guys are asking, Andy, DiVincenzo here tonight. Is he the guy that leads the charge for him?
I mean, you'll know early if he gets hot, then they'll start feeding him and he'll go crazy. But he's another guy that's just a lot better at home. So, no, I don't know. My gut tells me this goes to Game 7, and so I'm just finding it hard to take overs on Knicks players. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't have the stomach to take the overs when the Pacers have been so good at home in the series.
The ticket prices, we're being told at the Garden, have been out of control, and if it is a Game 7, Andy, I can't even imagine what that might be there. The Celtics, again, provided they don't shoot themselves in the foot, will be representing the East. I think we're all fairly certain of that. And confirmation, by the way, he has, in fact, Precious Achiuwa, 5 boards in this series in both blowouts. And it's really been that way since OG has been out. So he's racking up minutes and he's racking up boards. So may not be a bad look there, guys, with Precious Achiuwa again. As Thibs looks down that bench, he goes, what's my choice here at this particular point? We didn't mention Hart, by the way. And his rebounding props have been over the top for a while now here, too. He seems to be the forgotten third guy here, but is he somebody we're looking to fade maybe in this spot on the road, Andy? Or is he a guy that you think might have a pathway to having a monster night and maybe look to back his overs?
You just kind of do the rebounds. I would go by right? It's I don't know. He hasn't been good the last couple games, but this just feels like this kind of feels like a Josh Hart. I don't know. Josh Hart and DiVincenzo. I love the moxie on those guys. I mean, those are the kind of guys the Pacers do not have. Like Nesmith should be that guy, but he just hasn't really. You've seen a couple times when they have it, but Hart and DiVincenzo are the guys that have the onions to come in and throw their muscle around and on the road. But it's kind of strange that Josh Hart his rebounds have just kind of fallen off. I mean, he went from 13, 15, and 18 to 3 and 11. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's tough. It's a really, really tough one. I probably am not going to get to the window on that one.
No, Hart has been a guy where every time he has a monster game, we're like, oh, I can't believe I didn't look at him. And then when he shits the bed, we're like, thank God I didn't end up looking at him, because there's absolutely no consistency with any of these Knick guys, even Brunson, because the market is just so all over him. Like, my goodness, tough there. One final guy, Siakam, 21.5 points here tonight. He has been, since Anunoby has gone down, I think he scored, he could get 22 points tonight, right? He scored 14 on 7 of 9 in the blowout game, right? And he didn't play pretty much in the second half. But I think he's gotten over this number, 26 point, right? 22 points. Any reason why Siakam can't have success in this one either?
The books have lowered. I talked about Siakam taking his under points, rebounds, and assists, but the books have got it down to 32.5. That's pretty good. Here's an interesting one from Siakam. Under 2.5 assists is plus 136. He's gone under 2.5 assists in 4 games. Come on, Siakam, pass the ball.
Really?
Who do you think you are, Michael Porter? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. His team is missing shots, but. Yeah, under 2.5 assists for a guy that plays that many minutes. Like you don't fall into 3 assists. The other guy that's been the other it's a little juicy now, but Nembhard over 3.5 assists. The books keep teetering between 3.5 assists and 4, but Nembhard always lands on 4. He just always lands on 4. So if you find 3.5, take it. If you find take the over. If you find 4.5, take the under. You might middle it if he ends on 4 again.
33.5 is Siakam's PRA. It looks like 33.5, and there are guys screaming, "Oh hell no, he can't be trusted under 33.5 with his PRA." I would just look at his points because in this kind of game here, 22 points is not a huge stretch for Siakam to get in this game. But I love your look, Andy. Plus money under his assist. Between him and Brunson, I don't know who else is going to have a shot here tonight. Brunson's going to shoot everything, and Siakam is going to want to get involved in this game at some particular point. So should very well be interesting. It is Friday, Andy. There are questions regarding your darts playing here. Do we have any darts tonight? What do you got coming up this weekend?
Okay, so darts. Joe, you got to admit, there's no way that the Detroit offices and Johnny Detroit would be dealing with grading darts 5% plays. But we hit another one yesterday. So for you guys that are just watching, when I asked them to put the darts category on the back end, they were like, "What in the blue hell are you talking about?" So it was hilarious. But we're up 20 units in darts. So every Thursday, it's called the Premier League of Darts, and it's been a home run for them and for us. Like, it's been an insane season. They travel different places. The crowds are electric, and the number one player, Joe, is 17 years old. He's 7. Oh yeah, he looks like he's 40. His name's Luke Littler. Look him up. They could give you 60 guesses how old is one. You'd never land on that young. But he's incredible. And they've got one guy whose name is Peter Wright. He's a terrible player. He didn't prepare. 1 week he showed up wearing glasses. Like, oh, that's what you want in a darts player, a guy that's got bad eyesight. So we will have cast 3 5% plays fading Peter Wright. Unfortunately, the regular season is over. So we're down to playoffs. So we only got a couple more weeks, but they will absolutely be doing this Premier League. And we'll be ready to really, really go after it. And then in the winter, there's a huge tournament that lasts weeks. That's a cash cow.
Really?
They have these amateurs play the pros. And it's like the amateurs are so nervous, they're just lucky to hit the board. And so the pros just absolutely wax them. So you can get some great spreads on that. But yes, I really do appreciate everybody that has trusted us to join in on those plays. They have been absolute money. So you can take a look at Luke Humphreys to win next week. I believe he's minus 185. It's juicy, but it's a really good parlay piece. He's playing great right now. So I would look at him as a parlay piece. So there's a free play for darts for everybody.
Oh, good Christ. I just looked this guy up, Luke Littler, and I swear to God, he was the dude on a food truck I just ate at the other night in Tampa at like 1 o'clock in the morning, dude, like with a bandana, just chefing up wings in the back. He's 17. Please tell me
he's a teenager. Yeah.
Wow. Did not see that. Did not see that coming, guys. You got to take a look at this because it's Luke Littler. Look it up.
He was born in 2007, Joe. He was born in 2007.
Dude's working a food truck.
Darts player. The other hilarious play that we cashed on was a guy. There was a guy who missed the week 2 weeks ago because he got injured. So we were able to fade a darts player coming off of injury.
I can't. I absolutely can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. There will be a picture of this kid. And where's Merrill's picture? Do we have Merrill from yesterday? Let's get Merrill up there. We will have a absolute side-by-side here with Merrill and his wonderful hair. Yeah, let's get that back on. In case you guys didn't forget, this is Merrill watching the game last night. And then I think he's got it right. Giddey, let's go. Who wears it better, Josh Giddey or Steve Merrill? All right, you guys who wins it? Who wears it better? That's what I'm talking about. I can't with this. Unbelievable. That's there. Great. Steve Merrill, outstanding stuff as always here. And Andy, locked and loaded. You are ready to roll here tonight, whether it be darts. The PGA Championship is underway. You've got plays ready to roll into the weekend?
Yeah, Ray says, Andy, you're a sick dude. Hey, listen.
Yeah.
I talked about this on WagerTalk today. We call it winning in the shadows. That money spends the exact same. Cashing a 5% darts play was easier than sweating out some of these NBA totals and things like that. So I will continue to look for these angles. I mean, fading a darts player who needs glasses and a darts player coming off injury is an all-timer. I mean, it's up there for best bet of the year. So what do we have for today? Well, it's $5 Friday. So we have a really nice bet up in the UFC that you guys can take advantage of. Had my eye on that one all week. Decided to save it for today. So it's only $5 on a 9-3 run in MMA. And actually, Joe, proud to announce, 10-3. We just cashed a play on Bellator as the show is going on. So
nice.
10-3 run in MMA. Yeah, 10-3 run in MMA. We've been seeing the board really, really well. Coming off a fresh Fade the Baby theory last week. So looking to continue all that momentum in there so you can grab it for $5. And this is going to be a fun one to root on because it is all about violence. This is a violent play. We expect there to be some big time hits in this play. So it's only $5, wagertalk.com, and looking forward to a big weekend.
And right on time, S. Warrior. You didn't miss anything. Just take the Heat. The Heat in 5. You'll be good to go. Nick Millspa, by the way. We don't do locks here. But thanks for stopping by. Also, it is RR1L, Steve Merrill. Should have clarified that. A couple of you guys still can't spell it correctly. RR1L, Steve Merrill, definitely wears it better than Josh Giddey, his brother from another mother. That'll do it here, guys. Outstanding stuff. Don't forget, tomorrow, a special edition of Last Call, 10:30 Eastern, a little earlier start tomorrow. 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. We are loaded with the Preakness and the golf and WNBA and NBA, Major League Baseball. So we got a big show coming up tomorrow. Make sure you guys stop in, say hello. Join us tomorrow for another edition of Last Call. But until then, smash that like button for us. We certainly appreciate it. Lee, a life in Vegas. Kelsey, hanging out. We appreciate it. Uncle Sam in the house. You guys rock. Don't forget, $5. Go grab Andy's best bet in the UFC coming up this weekend. A lot of ways to make it a very profitable weekend. We'll do our best to point you in the right direction. Until then, cash those tickets tonight, guys. Good luck. Enjoy. We'll see you again tomorrow.